Hello, this is Sophie, and this is my learning path. My English learning process started when I was 14. English in my public school was terrible. I knew nothing, to be honest with you, but I loved English. I was obsessed with Adele and her interviews, of course. I didn't understand anything, still I don't. At that exact time of my life, my sister graduated from high school, and my parents and her decided she would go to an English academic, 1 year before she go to the university. So she did it. 1 year later, my sister knew and knows how to speak English, and I was so jealous, in the best way, of course. I always dreamed with speaking English, so I started study by myself and with my sister's help. In 2016, when I was 16, I got graduated from high school and I didn't know what I wanted to study. So, as my sister, I went to American School Way 1 year and a half to study English. During that journey, I discovered I really enjoy learning a language, but also that I love teaching English in that moment. So I found my way, let's say I found my passion. So I decided to apply in many public universities to study my bachelor, but at the end, the Bosque was meant to be. Is how I say it now. But yeah, I didn't went to a public university, but I knew it. I want to be a teacher, so I entered to Del Bosque. During these 4 years, I have worked as a teacher in many places with different kind of population, different methodologies, and it has helped me to improve not only my professional and personal skills, but also my English. When you teach something, you become a master. That's what people say. And I know that someday I will feel a master in the language.
Hello there, I'm Nicolas, and I'm going to talk about my L2 learning path. My first approach to the language was when I was a kid by watching YouTube videos in English. I enjoyed watching them, but even if I didn't understand anything, I just watched those videos trying to understand what they were saying. And thanks to those videos, I could get some vocabulary that it would help me later at school. Then, at school, when I had an educational approach to the language, I discovered that I was relatively good at English, thanks that I got some vocabulary from the videos that I watched. So, since 1st to 7th grade, I was like a sort of good English student. But then in 8th grade, in 2015, I moved from my school to a better school, where the English proficiency was stricter, so I struggled with it because their English level was higher than mine. Nonetheless, I gave my best, I studied harder, I watched educational videos in English, and all that effort made me being recognized by the school many times in the English area. This made me feel at ease with the English language at the point that some of my classmates asked me for help. Then, in my ICFES, the subject where I had the highest score was English. So thanks to that, I felt that I was like good at English, and thanks that I enjoyed helping people to understand the language, I figured out that at some point in the future, I would be a good English teacher. So I think that was the reason of how I ended here.
Now it's my turn. Hi, I'm Maps and I've been learning English for over 15 years. Yes, it's a long time. But everything started at school. I was learning the basic vocabulary, the animals, the colors, but that was it. I ended up graduating high school with a B1 certificate from Cambridge, but I was not satisfied. My school was good, English was okay, but I wanted something different. So I went to Costa Rica for 4 months. I took an English course. I improved a lot my English. And when I came back to Colombia, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for a living. But if I was good at something, it was in English. So that's when I started my bachelor's degree on bilingualism. Now I work for an international school. I'm very happy there, and I use English every day of my life. Every day. I use it at work. I use it when I'm sad and I'm doing some journaling. I write in English. I read in English, fiction books, and I'm still immersing myself in an environment with all my content is in English. This means songs, movies, YouTube videos, Instagram posts, everything in English. I think that's the best advice that I can give to a second language learning. Immerse yourself in the language.
Hi everybody, and thank you my beautiful friends and classmates for sharing your story and your learning path with languages. Thank you so much. I really feel identified with most of your story and feeling. So now I would like to talk about me. Hi, I'm Anna, and I would like to share my story about why languages are important in my life. So this is my learning path, and this is why I feel identified with you guys, and is because when I finished my high school I didn't know what I wanted to study. So I knew I wanted to go to the university and get a good job, but I don't know how. So I started thinking about that. I just took the short time of 2 years making a decision, but those 2 years were pretty good for me because in the first year I went to an English institute where I learned a lot of English and I made a lot of friends. Then I learned German. It was amazing because I could combine English and Spanish in order to learn German. For example, pants in German are Hose, and they are female. So I could relate it with Spanish and my imagination with colors and everything, and I started realizing that I like languages. So when I have to choose about a university, a career, I started thinking about my likes and dislikes. So I knew that I wanted to help, and I realized that I started liking languages. I didn't know what I don't like, basically, but I say like, let's try in El Bosque University. So I really like studying here because I can study and work at the same time and sharing with people. So since I started studying this beautiful career, I'm a happier person because I understand and I have more a variety of likes about music, movies, readings, whatever.
Now, coming back to me, I'm going to talk about how do I choose language. There are many ways and contexts where I choose language, but I would like to highlight 3 of them. Where the first one is when I'm reading or listening to something in English, I receive the input in English, but I start creating the output in my head in Spanish for getting better understanding. But if I have to say the output in English, I translate it in my head and say it in English. So yeah, there's a lot of work, but it's good for me to do it. The second context, or the second way that I choose language, if I am in a bilingual environment talking with a bilingual person, I use simultaneously both language for better understanding. And finally, the third context where I do the translanguaging is that, well, this is going to be crazy, but sometimes I start creating conversations in English in my head for checking my fluency and check how would I talk in a normal conversation and if I have the vocabulary that I need for these situations. I know that it's weird, but makes me feel prepared and comfortable. So yeah, those are the ways in which I do translanguage.
I code switch when I'm at school because in English is the medium of instruction, but I'm translanguaging pretty much all the time. It's just natural now because that's part of my identity as a bilingual. It's part of my personality and also my friends. We feel more comfortable expressing ourselves in English, but it's extremely meaningful to learn and share our culture through English. It's just amazing because it helps you discover and understand other ways of perceiving the world and learn from other people. English is just amazing. I love it.
Then I started like translanguaging everything in my mind, like como se dice hunt in English. So then I say, of course, it's dog or perro. So learning and teaching, it's a beautiful part of human being. I don't know what is going to be my future about, but it's of course it's going to be related with languages. Thank you so much.
Finally, because of my occupation and because of my bachelor, I have to speak my second language at work and at the university. It means more than 60% of the day, I consider, and it really has shaped the way I perceive the world and how I communicate and express myself. English is part of my identity now. It's always there, even when I'm speaking in Spanish. I do translanguage. I go to one language to another. When I'm speaking English with friends, but I want to gossip, I do it in Spanish. If I scold or punish my dogs, I sometimes do it in English unconsciously. When I complain about something, the words in my head are in Spanish, even if I'm doing it in English. And so yeah, translanguaging is part of who I am as a bilingual. And as an English teacher, I consider it's going to be like that for the rest of my life. Thank you so much for listening to me.